Pregame.com.
The 2013 Mythical National Championship kicks off on Monday night. It's the matchup between Notre Dame and Alabama. The Irish laying 9.5, total 40.5. We kind of get a real championship, pseudo at least, next year when they have somewhat of a playoff situation. But, Brian, I'm looking at the Alabama side going into this one, and I'm looking at Taj Boyd slicing and dicing LSU. Taylor Martinez, Rex Burkhead, both ripping apart the Georgia defense and then talking about how it didn't measure up to Big Ten defenses after their bowl game against the Georgia Bulldogs. Teddy Bridgewater makes the Florida Gators look ridiculous. The Florida Gator receivers, when matched up in one-on-one, couldn't hang with the Louisville receivers. Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football, Heisman Trophy winner, makes Alabama's defense look second-rate. I mean, now you got Notre Dame and you got Golston, who is a fleet enough-footed quarterback to make Alabama miss when they try to come after him and hem him in and sack him. And I think Notre Dame's got some value in this one, getting some points here.
Should we give out a mythical selection on this game? Mythical one? Yeah, you're right. You take a look at what the SEC's done so far in the ball games. They haven't been that impressive. And a lot of that, I think, is the offenses in the SEC just aren't that good. I mean, they put so much emphasis on speed on defense. It slows down any offense. And there's really, I mean, who thought Texas A&M was going to be able to do anything this year?
Right.
I mean, Missouri comes in. Missouri wasn't very good. A lot of it was injuries. But Texas A&M, especially offensively, it's just been amazing what they've done in that conference.
Imagination, and the SEC doesn't have it. But you know what? I think Texas A&M is going to start to change things around that conference a little bit. One team comes in. We saw it when Joe Tiller first went to Purdue. We saw some Big Ten offenses kind of changing a little bit, even though Purdue didn't have, obviously, the success that A&M did have in one year, but they did have some success. I think you will see SEC, because they can get these blue-chip athletes at wide receiver and running back and quarterback. I think it'll be a little bit higher-scoring conference in a couple of years when teams start to adjust a little bit to what A&M is starting to do. And, Marco, as far as Golston, his improvement in passing the football and his decision-making has a lot of people thinking that in this particular game, Brian Kelly and his coaching staff might even open things up a little bit more.
Well, I think they have to open up because Alabama is still strong against the rush. And, you know, they're going to slow Notre Dame down there with the power running game. And you look at Alabama this year, the teams that gave them trouble were LSU, Texas A&M, and Georgia, all teams that had good quarterbacks. They got to let Golston make some plays. And he's improved down the stretch. Notre Dame on defense, you know, you look at Alabama, they're not going to be able to run the ball like they have on other teams. Notre Dame just doesn't let you run the ball. And when you get inside the 20, they're even better. Notre Dame's going to keep it close. Notre Dame defense has held 8 of 12 opponents this year to under 100 yards rushing. Alabama quarterback McCarron, he struggled against the top-notch defense he faced this year. That was LSU, as he only went 14 of 27 for $165. But if you remember, a lot of that yardage came on that final drive when they won the game, came from behind. This looks like a lot of points, guys.
Wanted to mention, it's Brian's free pick. We're going to get to that in just a moment. But tune in on Sunday night, 11 p.m. Pacific time. That's 2 a.m. Eastern. If it's up too late for you, then listen to the archive during the day on Monday at pregame.com on the homepage. We're doing the show Sunday night. Of course, the preview for Monday night's BCS Championship. But I'm going to have all the proposition plays, all the props, that kind of stuff. Vegas Runner in studio with me Sunday night on First Preview. Brian, it is your free pick. Let's get to it.
I'm going to take the points here with Notre Dame, 9.5 currently. Been bouncing around 9.5, 10. Obviously, you want the 10 here, but take a look at this Alabama team. They played a tremendously easy SEC schedule this year. They didn't have to face Georgia, didn't have to face Florida, didn't have to face South Carolina. They only played 2 quality teams all season long, LSU and Texas A&M. The LSU game they were losing, had to have a great late comeback to win that game, and then they lose the game against Texas A&M. You take a look at the Irish. They beat Oklahoma. They beat Stanford. Those teams are pretty comparable to the teams that Alabama's beaten, the elite teams they've beaten. You know, the Irish has held every opponent they played this year to 20 points or less in regulation, and we're looking at a total of 40 in this game. That's going to expected to be a low-scoring game. Anytime you're getting 9.5, 10 points in a low-scoring game, you got to look that way. I'll be with the Irish here.
Good stuff. Bryan Leonard on the Irish plus the points over Alabama. For Brian, for Marco, I'm Scott, and we'll see you again next week. Basketball time and a little bit of NFL playoff action, week 2 in the NFL. That's all coming up next week. Don't forget to tune in next Wednesday night for all those videos from the other guys, Chris Andrews and the gang. We're right here at pregame.tv all week long. Stick around, and we'll talk to you also on First Preview Radio. Have a great one.